What is going on, guys? My name is Sena and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 super important concepts that you need to understand if you want to improve at Valorant. Each of these concepts are very crucial, and it's important that you watch the video all the way through so that you can understand all of them. Right before we get into the video though, guys, I would like to apologize for the lack of uploads this week. I haven't uploaded in like 6 or 7 days or so, and that's mainly due to me getting absolutely crammed with work. I have a job outside of YouTube, and I've been getting really busy with that this week, and I've also been getting flooded with assignments and exams, so I apologize for the lack of videos. I want to make sure that I'm providing quality content and making videos where the viewer always takes something away from the video. My goal is to help as many people improve as possible, and I can't thank you guys enough for the support on the channel recently. We just recently hit 30k subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. With that all out of the way, guys, if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you want more content just like this. With that being said, I'm gonna stop rambling and get straight into the video. The first extremely important concept that all players need to understand in order to improve is contact, what it means to take first contact, and how to play contact. In Valorant, the term contact refers to the act of engaging in a duel with another player. In other words, if I'm playing A and I peek long and see an Astra there and I engage in a fight with her, I am taking first contact. The reason why this concept is so important is because of the plays that can be made when you play off of someone else's contact. As a little demonstration here, I'm going to use this Valorant strategy maker to simulate a setup. This setup is going to be on B site split, and we're going to be looking at it from the attacker's POV. As you can see here, Astra and Sage have created a bait and switch setup. With this setup, Sage is taking first contact and Astra is going to play off of that contact. Let's assume Reyna is in a 1v2 and has to push onto B site in order to plant. What ends up happening here is when Reyna pushes into the site, she's going to have to fight Sage, who is holding from heaven. As soon as the first shot is fired, Astra is going to swing from back site to kill Reyna. This is pretty much a guaranteed round in the bag for Astra and Sage, because it doesn't matter whether Sage wins or loses the fight because the Astra is there to trade her out. Playing off of your teammates' contact like this is extremely valuable, and I don't see enough players doing this. An example of what you don't want to do in this situation is give Reyna 2 1v1s. Right here is an example of a setup that you do not want to create in a 2v1. I see a lot of low elo and even a lot of high elo players doing this setup here where they have one person holding each site when it's a 2v1. All this does is give the Reyna 2 1v1s and a higher chance of clutching the round. Instead of this setup, if these 2 people hold one site down together, they can retake the other site together as well. Playing off of your teammates' contact in man advantage situations to get their trade is a concept that I think every single player needs to know if they want to rank up. The next thing that I want to talk about is a concept that ties in really well with this, and that is trading. I feel like trading is a concept that is a lot more widespread and a lot of people understand, but I think it's still important to mention in this video. If you didn't already know, trading is when someone kills your teammate and you swing and kill the enemy, in turn trading them out. It's important that you understand that 1-for-1 trades are only beneficial for the attackers. As a defender, your main goal should be to control as many areas of the map as possible, and as an attacker, your goal should be looking for cracks in that defense. When someone gets a 1-for-1 trade, let's say in Garage on Haven, that means that someone will either have to rotate off of B or C to watch Garage. This creates a gap in the defense that the attackers can play off of if they're smart. If someone died in Garage, that most likely means that the guy on B rotated, as B is seen as a lower priority site than C. This isn't always the case though, and you need to make sure that you're playing for intel so that you can figure out where the enemies are and how to slip through the cracks in their defense. It's also important that you always trade your teammates out in man advantage situations. If you're in a man advantage situation, let's say a 4v3, as long as your team trades out every kill, you are guaranteed to win that round. So make sure you're always aware of where the defenders are holding from and to always play with your team in order to trade trade them out to make cracks in the enemy's defense. This perfectly leads me to the next concept that I want to talk about that ties in with this concept really well, which is lurking. Lurking is kind of a double-edged sword because if you do it incorrectly, it can hurt your team more than it does help. A lot of the times what I see happen is a team is pushing a site and they have one lurker on the other side of the map. They all push into site, they take it, they're in the post-plant situation, and they all die, and now they're all spectating this lurker who is late flanking. The lurker ends up dying and they all get mad at him because he's super late to the site and all this, all that, and this really sucks to see because it wasn't necessarily a bad play, it's just how it was executed. Here are some tips that I can give to you for lurking. When lurking, you want to make sure that you're lurking in areas where you are earshot of their rotate. What I mean by this is you want to make sure that you're lurking in an area where you can hear the enemies rotating and that you can get info off of that. Here's a little diagram that I made to help you guys understand this better. In this situation here, Cypher is the lurker, and I like to lurk in this spot here right outside of B on Haven. In this spot, Cypher can hear people rotating through B and through Garage. This is super important because he can call this stuff out to his team that can give them a lot of good information. With this information, they can gauge whether they want to rotate, and this is also really good for creating fakes as well. Not only this, but Cypher actually has a really good line of sight here on the rotate and could possibly get one or just late lurk on the flank. What he can do here is if Jet and Astra both rotate towards A, he could say 2 going towards A right now, and the rest of the team can rotate out of A, and then Cypher can lurk up into B and catch everyone off guard when they're rotating back to C when the team does the rotate. These are just some plays that I'm thinking off of the top of my head, but you can do so much if you have a lurker in a good spot. They're basically like a mini UAV. Lurking is good, but you want to make sure that you're on an agent that can lurk. You don't want to be lurking on Jet, Reyna, Sova, or any agent whose util is beneficial to the entry onto site. So remember guys, lurk in areas where you are in earshot of their rotates and make sure that you're calling stuff out to your team to play off of. There's a very fine line between a good and a bad lurk, and you want to make sure that you're helping your team out as much as you can. I picked some really good concepts for this video because this leads me straight to the next concept, which is cross-map awareness. Cross-map awareness is making sure that you are aware of what's going on the other side of the map. This might seem pretty obvious, but if you're holding C and they're not pushing you, you want to make sure that you know what's going on over at A to dictate whether or not you need to rotate or anchor. This concept is especially important on large maps like Fracture and Breeze, where control of areas is very important. For example, if you're playing Breeze and you see that your Jet has pushed all the way up through A main and sees nothing there, that is super good information because it gives you an idea of where the enemies could be. You need to understand that your teammates are always giving you information even if they're not calming. Just by looking at the map, you can get tons of information about where the enemies are and what they're doing. If you watched my how to give comms like a Radiant video, you would know that I talked about the map and how I think that the default map settings really suck. With the default map settings, you can't even see the full map and you can only see a smaller portion of it, which is really bad for cross-map awareness. Here are my map settings that I recommend you use in order to see the full map. For my map settings, I have a rotate on, I have keep player centered off, I have my minimap size at 1.1, I have my minimap zoom at 0.9, I have my minimap vision cones on, and I have show map region names on always. Like I just said, I would recommend changing your map settings to these ones as well because it's really nice to be able to see the full picture. So remember to always use your map to get information about where your teammates are playing and where your enemies are playing at. Moving on from this, the fifth and final concept that you need to understand to improve in Valorant is clutching. Clutching or 1vx situations are a concept that I talk a lot about on this channel. I've mentioned in multiple videos how important it is to be confident and understand how to play a clutch situation because of the importance that it has if you want to improve. Remember that a major part of Valorant is your mental, and being able to win those clutch situations and being confident in your own skill is going to skyrocket your performance, trust me. Here are some pointers that you need to know in order to win a clutch. Firstly, you want to make sure that you are isolating 1v1s. Secondly, if you're in a 1vx or a man disadvantage situation, you want to make sure that you're playing up to try to catch someone off guard to try to even out those odds. And thirdly, information is your best friend in clutching a round. Going off of my first point, making sure that you're isolating 1v1s is insanely important in clutch situations because it makes it so that nobody can trade you. Going back to the first concept that I mentioned in this video, playing off your teammate's contact, when you're the one clutching, you want to find those gaps in the area where they can't play contact. This goes perfectly with the second tip that I mentioned, which is playing up to even out man advantage. You want to make sure that you're playing in a off angle or pushed up CT somewhere deep where they won't expect you to be. Playing in an off angle deep CT or somewhere off site in a post plant clutch situation will greatly increase your chances of catching someone off guard and possibly evening out that man advantage. And to talk about my third point, information being your best friend, the person with the most information will likely be the winner in a clutch or a 1v1. If you know where someone is in a 1v1 and they don't know where you are, you can toy with them and play with them in ways that they are not going to be able to predict. This makes it really easy to loop them around a box in a post plant situation or just play time in general. So remember guys, when you're clutching, make sure that you're playing up in an unexpected area to try to even out man advantage. Make sure that you're always isolating your 1v1s and make sure that you are trying to gain as much information about the enemy's position as possible while concealing your own. And these things are tough to do. I'm not saying that this is easy, and listening to my video and taking all of this information in is one thing, but actually going in game and being able to apply this stuff in your ranked matches is a completely different ball game. And that's the bottom line of this video. All of these concepts are equally as important in making you a better player, and this is all stuff that I learned on my own by queuing hours and hours and hours of ranked. I have put many hours into Valorant ranked, and I want to make sure that you guys understand that you won't be a better player by the snap of a finger watching a YouTube video. You need to make sure that you're listening to what I'm saying and thinking about it in your games and trying to incorporate these concepts into your playstyle. I want every person watching this video to take something away from it to improve their game. And with all that being said guys, that is the 5 most important concepts in Valorant that you need to understand if you want to improve. I hope you all enjoyed this video and found it helpful in one way or another. I want to make sure that you guys understand that these tips can help Immortals and Radiants improve their game, so it can definitely help the people struggling to climb out of the lower ranks. You need to make sure that you're constantly grinding and constantly applying these concepts that I talk about in my videos into your gameplay. If you have any questions or concerns, I have a community Discord server that's linked in the description that you can come join and have a discussion. We have a super chill community in there and everyone is nice and welcoming, so feel free to join. Anyways guys, with all of that out of the way, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to drop a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content just like this. Thank you all again for 30,000 subscribers, and I cannot wait to see what the future of this channel has in store for us. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Peace out.